All right, so you can see on our timeline, we have everything grouped by group or increment. But what we can also do is we can also see what's on everybody's plate after everything's assigned. So let's go ahead and assign these tasks. Let's say Matthew is responsible for copywriting. And Greg is doing the application examples. And I'm handling the posts.
So as you can see, Ben is kind of working a little autonomously here in his brain, but what he's doing, he's actually trying to group tasks to people that kind of makes sense in terms of keeping their momentum going. So because Greg is going to put together the final PDF, collect everything, and collect that to send to client, he's also assigning Greg the tasks that are associated with that, like creating the brand application examples and putting together the actual PDF. Versus where he separated something out for me where I could work at the same time as Greg is putting together the PDF. I could be doing the copywriting, the content for that. And then Ben would just be the person responsible for sending that off to client.
So this is what we're talking about. Now, the brand style guide has been chunked out into individual tasks, and all of the tasks are assigned to a person, assigned a timeline, and assigned a deadline. We're going to change the view of our timeline to show who's assigned to what. And you can see that no one's really stacked up with too much. I've got one job here. Matthew's got one task to complete. At the same time, Greg is completing another task or working on another task.
Right. So by switching this view, after Ben has made all these assignments, he can make sure that we're not overlapping too much. Because the last thing you want to do is put so much stuff on one person's plate and realize that they can't get half of that done. So the cool thing about switching the views here, filtering by assigned, then you can just see if there is too much or too little on somebody's plate. So now we're playing this game of Tetris where we're looking at all the tasks that need to be done and seeing the best way where we could stack these things in a way that somebody always has something to do throughout the process.
And I'll show you an example. So let's say we switched copywriting from Matthew to Greg. As soon as we do that, we see that Greg suddenly has too much on his plate.
Can you give me a little bit more time for copywriting? I'm not that fast. Right now you only gave me a few days. I'd like to have a little bit more time.
We'll do a week and a half there.
Thank you. My brain's a little bit slower.
Any more than that, though, and we start running into issues with the export and the post.
Gotcha.
This is a real-life example, people.
I would like more time. It looks like we can afford it in terms of making sure it won't stunt us into too many things. So that's why when you're working with your team and you're assigning tasks, which we'll get into a later module, these are things that you need to confirm and check with your team. So the cool thing about this platform, you can scale and stretch things as needed, and then you could really see and play that game of Tetris to make sure everything fits in perfectly.
Yep.